Good morning, my fellow yogic travelers. I'm mighty glad to be alive today, and I hope that you are too, as we continue to live, laugh, love, learn, linger, and live the life we love. I've always thought that we have to revision yoga. The way the American Dharma has unfolded has kind of taken it like a smorgasbord, and we've kind of taken the asana out of the whole broader selection of what yoga has to offer and reduced it to an exercise system. So revisioning yoga for me means reestablishing its connection to the sacred and realizing that it's an ancient representative of what's called the perennial philosophy. That there's something within a human being, it's a chip off the old block, a spark of the divine. In a certain way, it's not just that we're alike or akin, but we're identical to living spirit, just in a different form. So if you believe that, then the two paths that are usually talked about is the ascending path toward the one. That's where you go up so high that the higher you go, it makes no difference at all till you've merged in it. In a certain way, you could say you efface your ego, and there's no more you, but there's it. Everybody agrees what it is. I should say everybody agrees that it is, but what it is the ultimate elusive mystery. Nonetheless, when you ascend, it's the wisdom path. It takes you towards the one where you experience the unity of all existence and everything makes sense at some higher or transcendental level that covers everything. But when you come back down into the planes of form, then all of a sudden you see the blood on the snow. And then compassion is the way you interact with people. And of course, the more wisdom you have, the more you feel the unity of existence and the more you want to help out in whatever way you can. So if you make the unity of our species the basis for your vision, then if you work on yourself to bring out the best and have a sense of inclusiveness in what you're doing, then you'll understand the aspect of yoga which is non-narcissistic, non-sectarian, non-denomination, non-cultic, non-chauvinistic, non-misogynistic, because it's a world of peace and justice. And there can be no peace without justice. So we're all working towards that ultimate omega point where we can distribute everything to everybody because we have the resources now, just lacking the political will and vision. So if we're going to steward the vision, it's got to be something comprehensive. And you begin in yoga by connecting yourself to the power. You know, we say every house is wired for electricity when it's built, but you got to call up the power station and say, turn it on. Otherwise, you don't get any juice. So this is where your free will comes in. If you want it, you got to open yourself up to it, give yourself over to it, and then through the initiatory process, you mature. And you usually take on some kind of relationship with someone who is older than you, who's been on the path longer. I like to say, to know the road ahead, ask those coming back. And in the old days, they used to call us the puer and the senex, the old man and the young man, or the idea of intergenerational connection. Because what happens is, when you're younger, they recognize that you have gifts, and they arc it back to you. When you want to project your power onto them, they say, no, you got it. And since you believe they truck in truth, they wouldn't be lying to you. If they say you got it, you must have it. So you begin to accept the fact that you got it. And so while you're in your 20s and your 30s, they show you how magnificent you are and how to power yourself up. And then usually something happens in your 30s or your 40s. Maybe you hit your first whitewater rapids with your own health issues, or maybe one of your grandparents or your parents die. And so now you realize that there's the need still for a steadying hand for the things that are unfolding in your life. But then maybe when you get into your 50s or your 60s, all of a sudden, now the process of deterioration in the temporal locus of the world and time starts to hit you. And although you may lose certain things, you realize that maybe your physically is not as strong, but maybe spiritually as strong as you've ever been. And then if you make it to your 70s, your 80s, you get to the place where the community around you is there to support you as you make your ultimate transition from body to not body. And you have the people who are going to help to bury you and who can look you in the face and say, the work will go on. We will continue the work when you're not here. So face the reality of your own abdication. Don't give up. Are you the one? who is to come, or should we look for another? So that's the whole action right there. And as you know, peace is found only in stillness. Peace through inactivity is no peace at all. You must learn to find peace through your actions as well as in your downtime when you do your spiritual practices. And when you realize that things go better for you, the happier you are. And I know it sounds selfish at the beginning, social integration comes later. But nothing is more important than that you feel good. So, domesticate your intuition, find out what makes you feel good, stay with it, hold it lightly, and dance with everybody, at least invite them out to dance.